It is not still hormone. It is a single gene sequence. The line Fluxariana, in fact, is not so much of power, but rather a presence. But without power, nevertheless, it could end up being it. When combined in its part with the lines Xanerica, now this combination is the one that has been given never to the human race, like with the necessary substance in the atomic scene as to make it. For it is it that according to this line either separate or unite the state of anything, that is to say, it is one anything atomic, for where a term appropriate will be rather one anything vulgar that comes of massy, not of without importance or poor, but of the common thing of the without importance, less with power, but inside of still of everything what could understand each other inside the binary concept, rather assuming that the human race by inside of still of everything what could understand each other inside the binary concept is rather assuming that the human race as for the feminine beings on one hand and the masculine ones for the other one, or rather until united both one, they have never been so, neither they will be. But according to the power at some time could make when the power is. This line of power in fact doesn't exist, but one can feel because it is, as I say, in the hormonal that the masculine sexual substance never ends up, never cultivating hormones needed to produce effects, let us say in the feminine sexual cultural side. For that so much in the hormonal cycles, like in the waiting part, one can say not only the true men or the true women, they have not still arrived to the anything from the planet. The lines America, when the power have taken place, let us say it's more important, that expression in hormonal nothing appears that when that is given, the line America power is made. Like we see in the picture, it is a thicker and more potent line, like a real demarcation of power fuchsia, but with much more proximity to the hormonal substantial reality, so much of the life as of the dead, as binary basic concept of the creation that newly one could speak of the feminine logosis. When these two sexual powers they can conform in the gene something of soaked power, it says that it is soaked when it can be introduced through the gene toward the root substantial as quaquera. And so that of it arises a cultivation that when that is achieved, it is said that it is the experimentation of this cultivation. That experimentation is also made in Pluto, for when it comes closer to the Earth, it is of understanding that any binary ship, it can bring near the planets with themselves or inside of it. It is only a process of virtual but real level, in the same circumstance that one leaves off the cultivation. What you know as sexual pregnancy or sexual effect, at least inside the feminine organism, in fact, it is not more than a cocoon in cultivation. Still, the process needs to continue and to serve to other processes for those that cannot be made more than punctuation of the matter. For that certain circumstances are in agreement according to like they have been made a pact in certain position of the gene, the sexual part, for a system or for several of the same ones. The enárguema is rather the phase that will be perfected for when this Cortege arrives, although can that apparently it is just the opposite, that the opposite will be for when this Cortege doesn't arrive, or that it has not been planned, in fact, stop that. But as many they are the sexual cultivations inside the container of the enárguema. For that reason and for many other reasons, certain things won't still be given. For the year 2030, rather could occur certain circumstances in what refers to the breakup of separation of the sexual states in the air, in spite of the fact that it is a perfect plan. This in the binary words would not need to be translated but reduced, and this is achieved by means of a great quarantine or a great mixture of promiscuities, those which they have to have a very high peak, so that of the same one the elimination of the sex can arise in other beings at those times, a process that will live given natural way. But it is not necessary to wonder the reason, since when making it's only activated again the binary sexual gene. But it is not necessary in this to know how to make it or not, simply to reduce or to increase the powers. For the year 3000, certain possibilities in the whole radius of sexual influence, they will have finished, and everything could be very uncertain, uncertain, but anyway high. For the year 3000, certain positions of distances of the times, they will have produced another conception of the reproduction about the same time, because it will be as that it has not been time for anything, and certain things will have the influences of that time, for where the Cortege Plutoniana will be the best thing in disposition of the time for the sex. There won't be sex, less time for it, but the utility of it will be for those that are that, for those who have evolved in the concept as much as in the senses and all sexual one.